Good evening, believers. How are you doing today? This is Love Coach Dasha coming to you today for the Healing Hour Live. Now, if you've never been with me before, you don't know what it is that I do here. I am a love coach specifically for women who want to heal and reconcile after infidelity. You want to stay. You have been cheated on, absolutely. We understand that that is devastating, it is shattering. It is a terrible thing to have happen to you. However, it is not the thing that is going to make you leave. And that may be hard for you. That may be difficult for you to accept right now. But I am here to tell you that that is a perfectly acceptable thing to do. You can stay, you can heal, you can get better, and the relationship can be even better than it was before. We don't want to go backwards. We're not going backwards in this, okay? We don't want to go backwards into what it was before. We want to grow it. We want it to be more than it was back before this devastating trauma happened. And that's what it is, okay? This is a trauma. You have to start treating it like a trauma and start to heal yourself from the inside out so that you can even have a chance at the relationship working out. Okay? I'm going to tell you all I know about it, all right? I'm going to tell you deeply tonight about everything that I personally went through to figure out the dreams formula to heal my own relationship, because I've been through it too. I have been cheated on by the person I love the most, by the person I am still married to this moment. So I understand that difficulty in making that decision, and I understand how hard it is to actually do, but I am here with actions. I am here with things that you can do to actually get to the other side of this, okay? All right. So I am here on YouTube, and I am here on my Love After Cheating group in Facebook. Please come join my Love After Cheating group in Facebook. You need to be in there. That's where I'm at most of the time, but I'm trying to start really being on Instagram on a regular basis. And on my Love Coach Dasha page on Facebook. I will be live all of those places whenever you want to see me, okay? All right, let me make sure. Okay, I can see Love After Cheating and Love Coach Dasha and YouTube. Fabulous. All right, so we're going to talk about how to start treating this like a trauma. That's what we're going to start with tonight. This is what I start with every night. I want you, every time you see me, to do these things, to recognize that these are things that are going to go along with the rest of my teaching, but you need to be doing these basics, these practices on a regular basis. That's going to start to help mitigate the trauma, okay? The very first thing that I'm always going to ask you to do is to do your deep breathing. Have you been doing your deep breathing? If you have not, I need you to make that a priority. Today, tomorrow, all this week, I need you to make that a priority. When you do your deep breathing, the very simple thing is when you are stressed out and anxious and in fight or flight and traumatized, your breath is more shallow. It sips in and you never fully exhale out, okay? That's the basics of it, that when you are that tight, that anxious, that stressed, your breathing changes. If you lengthen your breath, make it slow, deep inhales, full exhales, you will tell your brain that you are not in any danger right now. Because that's what that is. It's a danger response. It's fight or flight. It's something is going to go wrong here. So if you do those long, slow, deep breaths, you are teaching your brain and your body that you are actually safe. You have scanned the horizon. There is nothing out there that is about to eat you right now. You are safe. You are calm. You are in control. Just doing your deep breathing 5 times a day is going to consistently convince your brain that you are safe. When you do this on a consistent basis, it starts to very much affect your brain. You automatically know when you start to feel that tightness in your chest, when your lungs start to get a little shaky, you will know to do your deep breathing, slow that breath down, and it will do wonders for how you're feeling in the moment. Okay? This is a consistent thing, just constantly bringing that anxiety level down as we are trying to get back in control of our emotions after this trauma of infidelity. Okay? So we're going to do 4-7-8 breathing. I don't care what breathing you do on your own, as long as it's 5 times in a row, 5 times a day. I don't care which one you do, pick one, run with it. But us together, we're going to do 4-7-8 breathing. What you do is blow out, try and empty out your lungs completely. Then you want to inhale for a count of 4, hold that breath for a count of 7, and then you're going to blow out like you're blowing out a whole cake full of birthday candles for a count of 8. Thin stream of air, make the whooshing sound. When we make that whooshing sound, it is a trigger in your brain that says, oh no, I'm calming down now. Things are okay. Okay? We can make good triggers and we can make bad triggers. Our brains made a whole bunch of bad triggers when we got traumatized. We need to start making some good ones now. Okay? All right, so we're going to do our deep breathing. We're going to do it 3 times in a row just for the sake of time. But again, 5 times a day on your own, okay? It's like a minute. You can do this little bit of self-care for yourself, okay? All right, first things first, blow out. Make the noise. Inhale through your nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Blow out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Blow out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last time. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Blow out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Beautiful. How do you feel when you do the deep breathing? Let me know in the comments. Is there a difference physically? That is what should happen, because trauma, the effects of trauma on your body are a physical thing. So if we start doing physical things to counteract those things, we should start to feel better. As you do it more consistently, the better you'll feel. Okay? Put it in the comments. Let me know that you have been doing your deep breathing. All right, the next thing that I'm always going to talk to you about every single time we get together is doing your journaling. Have you been doing your journaling? I need you to jump on that quickly, people. Let's do this. There is no need for you not to do a little bit of journaling on a regular basis. I'm asking you for 5 minutes. 5 minutes when you first wake up, 5 minutes right before you go to bed. That's all I'm asking for. Now, if you want to journal other times during the day, if you are feeling it and you have noticed something, there's a question that's bothering you, you are stressed out, you're getting angry at him, write it down. Feel free to put it in your journal. But I want you to be consistent about first thing in the morning and right before you go to bed. If you're doing this on a consistent basis, you're teaching your brain that, hey, this is a pressure relief valve. Even if I'm stressed out all day long, I got my journal to look forward to. I can write down the things that are really, really bothering me, the top of mind things, and I can work out those things. It is not that big a deal. All right. And same thing for the morning. Okay. I can sleep on some things, wake up first thing, get myself together and ready to meet my day by writing down the things that come to mind when I first wake up. Okay. You've got to be consistent with it. The more consistent you are, especially if you're journaling in between when you're getting up and when you're going to bed, you are going to find patterns in your writing. You are going to find triggers you didn't know existed. You will be surprised by how many triggers are actually written down, and you don't even realize that they're triggers until much, much later. Much later, you will be experiencing like the effects of the trigger. You'll be feeling bad, you'll be spiraling out, and then you can go back in your journal and be like, okay, well, what happened today or yesterday that started this spiral? When I started to feel bad, what was going on? And you can go back and you can be like, oh, is that what it was? Oh, he didn't give me an apple when I asked him to give me an apple. Just weird things that your brain will trigger. And what triggers are is reminder of things that hurt you. So it doesn't have to be anything close to what actually hurt you. Your brain makes these things up on the spot. So you're like, oh, that's kind of sort of like when he didn't have dinner with me when he was out with her. Makes a completely weird connection that you didn't think about before, but it has triggered you and got you spiraling, got your body feeling awful. So I want you to know that doing your journaling on a regular basis is going to help you to find those things before you spiral out, before they have taken over your entire life. You will be able to figure out what the trigger was, and then you can actually do something about it ahead of time before that thing happens again, because most triggers are things that repeat. You will know. You will know ahead of time. It won't take you by surprise. When you start to feel like that, you can be like, I know it was that trigger. And then you'll be able to do something about it the next time it happens. Okay? All right. So when you're doing your journaling, like I said, 5 minutes. Don't go beyond that just because I don't want your hand hurting. I don't want pain associated with you doing this practice. If you add pain into something that's already a little bit anxiety ridden, you're not going to want to do it. All right. So 5 minutes so your hand doesn't cramp up. You don't try and write down everything that's in your head, just the things that first come to mind. Then I want you to do your date, your time, and your level of anxiety. Date and time are there so that you can figure out when things happen. You will find patterns in the when, in the dates, in the times. You will know things are going to happen. Triggers are going to occur because you have written them down week after week after week. You're like, oh, hey, look, that's a pattern. Okay. You'll find yourself writing the same things. And you'll be like, did I say this before? Let me flip back a couple of pages. Yep. I did say this before, and it was on the same day. And so then you will start to make those connections, and then these triggers can't sneak up on you. Okay. Then you're going to do your level of anxiety. Level of anxiety is so that we can put a fence around these feelings. These feelings can only get so big. They can only get as big as you. Okay, they can fill you all the way up, but they cannot explode out of you. They are not Godzilla. They are not going to trample you. Okay, you have control over how big you see them. And so then when you are feeling these fears and these anxieties are growing up, you got to remember that they can't be any bigger than you are. You are 10. Okay, 0 is no anxiety whatsoever. Things are beautiful. All is right with the world. Okay, that's a 0. Write that down in your journal so that you can flip back through and see that you had 0 days. When your brain is traumatized after this infidelity, your brain will say that all days are bad days. And so if you can go back and prove that your brain is lying to you, you can refute it. You can say, hey, no, I had like 3 great days last week. I didn't even think about it. I wasn't angry at him. We had a good time. No, that's not true. It's not always terrible. Okay. And then a 10. A 10 is a complete loss of control. 10 is I want to rip my hair out, tear my clothes off, run screaming down the street naked. You don't care about the neighbors. You don't care about anything. You could do something a little violent. You could do something out of your character because you're not in control of yourself. Now, most of the time, you're not going to get to a 10. Lucky us, right? Most of the time, the feelings are not quite that big. We still have some control over ourselves. But if you find yourself throwing things, if you find yourself screaming until you can't talk anymore, if you find the neighbors banging on your walls, if you find the police called on you, yeah, you might hit a 10. Might hit a 10, all right? But it's good to know that that's as bad as the feelings can get. Is you just feeling completely at a loss of control for yourself. Even a 9, you are still in control of your body. You are still in control of your thoughts. Okay? All right. So this is my personal journal right here. It's a thick boy. It's a thick bad boy right now. I love this journal. I think that it's one of the best things I've bought off Amazon in a long time. But it does not matter what you use as long as you use it. A pen that you like, paper that you will write on. That's all you need. Okay, so don't get too fancy. Don't try and wait until you get like a $50 journal or something to specifically write down all of the thoughts after infidelity. No, you don't need that. You don't need a tome. Okay, you just need a book that you will write in. Okay. All right. Third thing I'm always going to tell you every time we get together, please and thank you. Try to exercise gratitude. Okay, I want you to think about very consistently, as soon as you open your journal in the morning and right before you go to bed, try and think of a couple of things that you're grateful for, at least 2 or 3 every time you're about to write in the journal. That gives you perspective, number one. Even if you think things are awful, if you think about things that you are grateful for, it starts to make things feel a little less awful. But it will remind you as you go through this journal, yeah, there's bad things in there, but there's an awful lot of good in there too. There are things that you are happy about in this lifetime that exist right alongside the things that are making you miserable. Yes, they are real. They are all real. These are the good feelings and the bad feelings are all real. And you can, at any point, choose the gratitude instead of the grief and feel a little bit better. Okay? If you train your brain to look for things you're grateful for, that counteracts the trauma response of looking for things to be afraid of. If you are consistently telling it, no, I don't want to look for things that worry me, things that trouble me, that make me feel bad. I'm not looking for those things. I want to look for the things that warm me up on the inside, make me feel good, make me feel happy. If you do that and that becomes a practice, your brain will give you things to be grateful for. It will try and supply those for you instead of looking for things to be fearful of. So, consistency with the practice. Please, in the comments, if you have something tonight that you are feeling grateful for, that you are excited is in your life, put it in the comments. Let me share it with people. It's real easy to share the negative, okay? It's super easy to do that, but it's a little bit more vulnerable, I think, to share the good, to share the things that you are grateful for. I think people feel a little bit more vulnerable about that. So, try and put it in the comments so I can share it with other people. You can be behind the screen and you don't have to say, but I want to share that there are things out here to be grateful for. I don't want everybody to feel like just because you have gone through the trauma of infidelity that there is no good left. That is just a trauma response. Your brain will try and make you believe that, but it's really not true. And the more you can see the good, the more you can see healing. You can't imagine healing when all you're doing is seeing bad things. All you're doing is considering bad things. You feel like that wound will never close. But if you start to look for things you're grateful for, that wound starts to close. It starts to heal up from the inside out. It starts to knit itself together. And then it's easier to find the healing. Okay? Last thing that I'm always going to tell you every time we get together, and I'm going to tell you in person too, and I'm going to tell you when you tell me that you asked him this question, because this was the question that it had to be the question, and he had to answer this question, and he didn't answer this question right. I'm going to tell you, like I tell you now, stop asking him all those damn questions. Okay? Stop it. Cut it out. It's not helping you. It's not. That is a trauma response. The feeling, that itch of, I've got to ask him a question. I have got to, this question. If he can answer this question right, then I'm safe. But if he answers this question wrong, I know he's horrible and I should have never given him a second chance and he is just a terrible person. Okay? That's not helping you. It is not. I swear it's not. I promise you, it will not hurt you to stop asking all those questions. The questions are just part of your fear response of finding out as much information as you can about a threat. That means you are considering this person that you love and you want to be with to be a threat. That is what you're doing. Every single time you do it again, every time you ask another question, you ask the same question another way, you are saying, this is a threat. I've got to find out all the information I can about it. He's not a person anymore. He's not the love of your life anymore. He is a threat. We got to stop that loop. Okay, it is an automatic thing that starts, it gets triggered off, and it just goes on its own. You've got to recognize it and you've got to stop it. Once you do that, you're going to start to feel better. Okay, now that being said, I do recognize that it is an itch. It is something that just goes on in your brain and you want to scratch it. I get it. So I got something better for you. These questions, the and, THEAND, the and, from the good people at the Skin Deep. They are on Amazon. They're about $30. 199 questions. This is the Healing Edition deck. So specifically, they are for trying to reconnect, trying to connect with the person, trying to rekindle that love. Okay. Take these and ask a couple of these, 2, 3 of them tops. That'll give you communication. It'll give you information, and it scratches that itch to ask a question, but it's nothing that will be harmful to you in the future. You won't be asking questions about the affair and giving yourself details that you don't need. Okay. The more detail you give it, the more vivid that your imagination is about what happened, the worse it is to get over it. So we don't need to add any extra details. We need to look for these questions for a real connection. Okay. So the first one says, what do you respect most about me? Don't you want to know that? Isn't that something that would right now make you feel a little bit better, a little bit more secure if you knew what he respected about you? What do you respect most about me? How do you know when I'm having a great day? Look, see, you want to ask these questions. These are better questions. These are questions that show you, okay, this person knows me pretty well. He's been paying attention. He knows, okay, when I come in and I kick off my shoes and I come give him a hug and I go grab a soda and I start talking about my day, I had a pretty good day. All right, you want the dude that knows that. If he's the person for you and he knows these things and he can tell you these things, wouldn't that make you feel more secure? Wouldn't that make you feel like, okay, I'm making the right decision, showing a little bit of love to this person? How do you know when I'm having a great day? And one more for the middle of the deck. Who has more power in our relationship, and how do you feel about it? I would bet you would say he has more power, right? But what if he says that he thinks you have more power? Isn't that an interesting conversation to have? Isn't that better than where did you have sex with her? Isn't that a better question? Isn't that much more important information for you to know who he thinks has more power in the relationship and how he feels about that? I think I would want to know that more. I think I would. So that's it for right now. Those are the practices, those simple things that you can do all on your own to start to heal from this trauma of infidelity, okay? This betrayal trauma that you had experienced. Start doing your deep breathing, do your journaling, get a gratitude practice going, and stop asking him all those questions, okay? Now, I want to get a little deep with you tonight. We're going to talk about some things tonight. I'm going to talk to you about the advice that almost cost me my marriage, okay? After infidelity, this was how I discovered the dreams formula. Okay. You know, I've told you about the dreams formula. We're going to go through it in a little bit, but this was, I think people think that I sat down and I just created this framework out of nowhere. I didn't. Okay. I discovered it. And honestly, I discovered it because everything else wasn't helping. That's what happened. Everything else that I was told to do, the advice that I was getting was not working. So I discovered this by accident. And I'm not saying that people were trying to hurt me. I'm not saying that. Most of the people that gave advice to me about how to deal after the infidelity were genuinely wanting to help me. They felt what I had felt. A lot of them had been through it, and they were trying to give me the best advice that they could for the experience that they had. Okay? But the advice that they were giving me only kept my attention on one person, and that was him. Okay? And the moment everything started changing was the moment that I realized that my healing could not depend on him. The moment I stopped looking at him to fix me, that was the moment that I finally started healing. All of the advice that I had gotten was that he had to do things and then I would be fixed. Every book I was reading, every guru that I followed, they kept saying, well, he has to X, Y, Z, and then you can start to heal. I thought that was crazy. I tried it because I was like, okay, if that is the way that everybody's saying that it has to be done, I will try it that way. And I did. And it failed spectacularly. Okay. Let me see. Let's go through the dreams formula. Okay. Number 1, D is the D of the dreams formula. It's for making a decision. I was told that he had to decide, that he had to prove that he chose me. He had to reassure me constantly, whenever I felt like it. He had to make me feel safe. But here's what I realized. He was traumatized too. And he already wasn't making good decisions. He was not. So why was I waiting for the least stable person in the relationship to decide the future? It seemed crazy to me, especially when I already knew what I wanted. And so I decided I wanted my marriage. I decided that that was what I was going to do. Now, I say that like it was simple. It took me about a year to come to terms with that, to accept within myself that I was actually staying in a relationship where I had been cheated on. It took me a minute. The guilt, the guilt was dragging at me for almost a year. I want you all to be able to skip past the guilt, because once the decision was made, everything got so much better. Because waiting for him to decide kept my future in his hands, and I already didn't feel safe. So putting my future in his hands made me feel less safe. As soon as I took that decision back, and I just decided, okay, I do want to stay. I do want to reconcile. I want to work it out with this person. Yes, he cheated on me, but that is what I want. Then my future isn't frozen anymore. It is in my hands. I am able to play with it. I am able to do what I need to with my own future and start to move forward. I was stuck before the decision. Before I just decided that I wanted to be in this marriage, I was stuck. And I don't want you to be stuck. I want you to understand that you make this decision, then you get to move forward. Then you get to start to heal instead of waiting on him. Okay? R is for recognizing the fear speech. Now, I was told that every one of my fears should be discussed, talked out. Every thought, every worry, every insecurity. But every time I fed those thoughts by talking about them, by breathing life into them, by experiencing the emotions out loud, talking with him, those feelings kept getting stronger. They weren't being diminished at all by talking about them. I was revisiting the trauma each and every time I talked about my fears. They got stronger, and I realized that the fear speech wasn't just in my own head. it was coming from those same well-meaning people around me too. The people that were giving me the advice, they were feedbacking with, yes, you should be afraid of that. And yes, you should talk about that some more. And it was just this constant feedback loop of the fear in my own head and the fear from outside, back and forth in a cycle, going, feeding these negative thoughts. Not every fearful thought deserves a conversation. Okay, I understand that it is good to talk about your feelings. I am not saying don't do that. You absolutely can talk about things that disturb you, that make you fearful. Absolutely, you can do that. Not every time, though. If you do it every time, your brain starts believing, oh, that's how we fix that. That's what we do about that. We just keep talking about it, and we keep thinking about it, and we keep being afraid, and we keep backing away, and we think about it some more, and we get more afraid, and we back away. It will become a never-ending loop. It doesn't stop unless you stop it. So you have to decide, okay, I cannot say every negative, fearful thought that comes into my brain to my mate after infidelity. Okay? You write it in your journal if you feel like it, but constantly giving it that feedback, that air, that attention just feeds it and makes it grow. Okay? E is evaluating the why. Everybody wants to know why. I wanted to know why. Okay, and I am a Gemini. I definitely wanted to know why. Okay, and I thought if I understood why, then I could make sure that it never happened again. If I knew why, I would know the things that would happen if it were to happen again. But interestingly enough, his bipolar disorder was part of that answer to why. It was high up on the list of the reasons why. And there was no controlling that. It is an illness. It is a chronic illness he's going to have for the rest of his life. I can't plan around it. It surprises me sometimes that, a manic phase, a little depression will just pop up out of nowhere for no reason. Okay? So I knew a lot of the reason why, but it didn't help me to try and stop it from happening again. I couldn't control what was going on inside of him. So I stopped asking, how do I prevent this? And I started asking, well, what pain is this? What pain was he in that he decided to treat me, somebody he loves, like this? Because that'll change everything, right? That compassion in that moment to figure out what is so wrong that something this wrong seems like a good idea. If you can figure out what went so wrong inside of their head that cheating on their partner was the way to feel better. How low do you have to be for cheat on your partner to be a step up? Okay? Compassion for him gave me answers that the fear never could. The fear could never. It did not show me, because the fear was all about my survival, about compassion for myself. Soon as I turned that compassion around to him and said, okay, this must have been bad. What was going on? Is there any way that I could help him feeling so bad? Is there any way that I could help that? All right. Looking at that was what gave me back power. I didn't have to try and contend with the bipolar disorder or any of the other factors that were going on with him. And, I tell you, those three things: sick, sad, and stupid. All right. Those are the three categories. Sickness is, like I'm saying, he's bipolar. He's got an illness. His brain is the way it is. All right. It just is. It's hypersexuality is a symptom of what he's got. So, okay, his brain works like that. People whose brains don't work like that. People who have had heart attacks. You know how often people come in with heart attacks to the hospital with their mistress? They were having sex with the mistress, doing this secretive, sneaky thing that they didn't start to do until they actually started having problems with their heart. They didn't realize they were having problems with their heart, but it had already started. The plaque had started building up. The blood flow was compromised. There was already something going on with their heart, but they didn't know that. And they end up cheating because you can feel it. It's like mortality just starts to shade everything, and you start to feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me, and you look for life affirming things. Sex is one of those things. All right. People who are sick are not at their best. They don't do their best. We can't be expected to do our best when we're sick. So if that is the reason that he has cheated, mental, physical illness, hormones, all sorts of things can be physically going on with this body that cause you to do the wrong things. Okay. Sad is grief of some sort of loss. It could be anything. He lost his job. He lost his mama. He lost his manhood. He'll feel, a lot of the time when they lose their job, they feel like, oh, I'm not a man anymore. All sorts of things that he could feel a loss over. That grief presents itself in strange ways sometimes. And I have actually seen people have sex in a funeral home before, twice, not once, but twice, because grief does that. Grief makes you want to affirm life. And then there is stupid. Stupid is not about him being stupid. It is about all of the stupid things that men and women are taught about being in relationships, about how they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to act. If he saw his dad cheating all the time, he's going to think that that's what he's supposed to do as a grown man. If all of the men around him are cheating, he's going to think, oh, well, that's what is normal. That is what happens. And their wives and their girlfriends are still with them. Why shouldn't I? All right. Stupid. Just a stupid thing to teach a kid, but it happens all the time. If mom cheats on dad, it may be, oh, I'm going to get over on this woman before she can get over on me. All right. Just the fact that boys from, young teenagers are asked about having sex. And if they're like 17 and they haven't had sex yet, it's like, oh, well, that's such a shameful thing. Grown women saying to little boys, oh, you're going to be my boyfriend. You're so cute. I'm going to wait for you until you get older. Just all sorts of stupidity. Okay. Unhealthy thoughts around sexuality, around relationships. We're all given pretty bad advice, but I think men are given much worse advice about what they are supposed to be doing than women do. Right? If you can figure out what the pain is from and, sit with him in that and have that compassion for him, you can realize that you're both in pain right now. He was in pain and it made him do something stupid. Okay, you're in pain, so that means that ahead of time and you don't have to do something stupid. Okay, you can just sit with him and be in pain together, and that is a bonding thing. Okay, to experience the pain, to talk about the pain, get the pain on out, and then moving past the pain, that's a bonding type of experience. A is for allowing the healing to happen, and this one was the one that surprised me the most. Because I was told that he had to repair everything. He had to earn my closeness. He had to earn any affection. He had to do things that made me want to give him love. But if I stayed behind those walls, then how was he supposed to reach me? You can leave the walls up. He can throw love at the wall. And it's going to splatter on the wall and fall down to the ground and you're not going to receive any of it. If you're trying to heal, if you're trying to reconcile the relationship, it can't just be, oh, he's doing all the work and I can stand here behind this wall and watch him do it. You're not participating in that. You're not receiving that love. And you're holding up that wall and you're telling him that you don't want that love. And so then if he's not throwing it at you, then you're like, well, why isn't he throwing it? Because he can't reach you. It makes all the sense in the world. There's no reason to keep on throwing the love at you if you are intentionally blocking it. So I had to participate. I had to choose to hug him and kiss him. I had to choose to let him back in my heart. He was already there. He could not have been completely out of my heart for me to even say, okay, I want to heal, I want to reconcile. So he was already there. If I sat with my decision and I understood that he was still a person that was in my heart, pretty deeply, I had to just go ahead and open up to that. I had to let myself go ahead and let down the walls. So I stopped expecting him to climb over the walls and I started opening a gate. I unlatched it. I opened it up. I was like, okay, come on. Give me a little love. I can take a little bit of love from you. All right. M is for managing the future feelings, which is all about the triggers, right? I was told that I could process every trigger with him. That every time I was triggered, every time I was upset, I could show it to him. I could get upset with him. I could argue with him. I could talk out the trigger. I could make him change everything that he was doing because I was triggered and it's all his fault that I was triggered. Okay. But the more I rehearsed the triggers, just like the fears, the stronger they became. I had to teach my own brain that I was safe. And talking about the triggers all the time, focusing on them, talking through them, going through them a piece at a time was not conducive with telling my brain that I was safe. My brain was like, oh no, we must still be in danger. She is vividly thinking about these triggers, these things that upset her, these things that hurt her. We must still be experiencing that. And so then I couldn't calm down. I would try and be calm for a little while, and then the trigger would happen, and then I'd lose my mind. I'd look like a complete lunatic. And then I try and go back to healing. And the back and forth made me look a little crazy. It made me look a little bipolar. It was like, okay, everything is fine 1 minute, and then as soon as I'm triggered, I am going off and giving him a hard time the next minute. I had to decide to heal by not living inside of the triggers, by putting myself on the outside, giving myself a little distance from them, journaling about them, looking them up, and seeing if there was anything that I could do to control how my body felt when I was triggered instead of trying to control him when I was triggered. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So the last step of the dreams formula, seeking support. This one might have been the hardest. This one might have been the most difficult because I found women who had stayed, but they were still miserable, and it could be years later. I realized I couldn't seek support from people who just understood betrayal. The people who just understood the betrayal and not the healing, those people were miserable. They were sad. They were angry all the time. They had never gotten over it. And so the relationship itself had never actually recovered. There was a lot of bickering. There was a lot of tension. There was no relaxation. And I was dying for that with my husband because that was how we fell in love, was that connection. So I realized that I needed to seek support from people who embody the future that I wanted. Not the future that I didn't want, the future that I wanted. So I had exactly one woman who I remember to this day. Lord, I wish we were still friends. She was in the Navy at the time, and she left, and I didn't get to keep up with her. I think I left and then she left. But I still remember her saying to me, well, you can just decide you want to be with him. You don't have to leave him. You don't have to if you don't want to. If you want to heal, you can heal. You don't you don't have to talk about the fear all the time. You talk about good things. You can talk about your relationship. You can talk about things outside of the relationship. Hold on. Goodness. You can allow yourself to open up again. You don't have to stay behind a wall. You can allow yourself to give love instead of just expecting to receive it and keeping a wall up so you don't receive it. Like, she was the one that, blew my mind at the time, because everybody else was saying the exact opposite. And she was like, you don't have to do any of that. Every time I talked to her, she was like, oh, you don't have to do that. No, you have free will. You can actually make a completely different choice than what people are telling you. And that's what I figured out. The last step of the formula is, don't just seek out people who understand your pain. You've got to seek out people who reflect the hope that you feel. Them understanding your pain feels validating. It feels like, okay, that makes perfect sense that I hurt. Okay, but that doesn't help you stop hurting. That doesn't cease the pain. It just shows you that, oh yeah, other people feel the same pain. And so you start to dwell in it together instead of actually working to get out of it. Okay? So eventually I realized that every step of the dreams formula had one thing in common. I stopped waiting for him, and I started participating in my own healing. I stopped trying to control him, and I started learning to lead myself, to get back in control of me instead of letting the fear and the anxiety rule me and make me do things that were not who I wanted to be. I had to choose my path forward. Every time I took my healing back into my own hands, the marriage got healthier. When I made the decision and I said, okay, I am making this decision. I am choosing this. We are going to be okay. Thereafter, his behavior would start to change. Okay, every time. If I got a little lost and confused, I would go back to the previous step and work on that one again. Okay, working on me, what I could do. And then I move to the next step and try it again, thinking about what I could do. And every step of the way, I healed and the relationship healed. So I will ask you, what advice have you been following simply because it's what somebody said you're supposed to do after this infidelity? And is it helping? Put in the comments. Let me know. What advice have you been following that everybody says you should be following? And is it actually helping you? Or is it causing you more pain? Causing you more distress? I want to know. Put it in the comments for me. I'm not telling you all of this because I think it's the only way. I'm telling you this because I spent years trying the traditional advice first. Dreams wasn't my first attempt at this. I told you, I spent a year just coming to grips with the idea that I could make the decision that I wanted to stay. Okay? The dreams formula was what remained after everything else failed. Everything else did not work. So I tried the exact opposite of what it was saying. Instead of him, me. And I started to heal. And every time I coach a woman who starts with herself, instead of looking at him, instead of looking outward, starts to look inward to her own healing, she starts to heal. So that's why I coach the way I do. Not that I think I'm right about everything, but because I've spent years testing what actually helped me heal. And I've tested it on other women and hundreds of women. And if you'd like to learn more about the dreams formula, comment path and I'll send you the guide. My bots will scurry out and send you a link to get yourself a free copy of the dreams formula, step by step by step, everything that you need to do to heal and reconcile after infidelity. Okay? And if you're feeling like your situation is particularly tangled and you're not sure what to do next, you would like some clarity, you can talk to me directly. You can get on a clarity call with me. All you need to do is comment or DM me, call. I will get on a call with you. Sometimes one conversation is all it takes to help you see the next step more clearly. If you can get on the phone with me, you will have clarity by the end of the call. You will know what to do next. You will not be lost anymore. Okay? You will know the steps to take right now. So call in the comments or DM me, call, and I will send you the link to get on a call with me. All right? So let's see. The dreams formula, I don't want you to think that saved my marriage. The dreams formula changed me. And when I changed, my marriage finally had the chance to change too. When you change the world around you. Things cannot continue to be the same in your immediate vicinity if you have changed. So just that much gives you power over your own healing. That when you change even a little bit, things start to change around you. And that healing begins to kickstart because your body and your brain recognize that you are working towards the healing and not dwelling in the fear. You can't control another person's healing. You can't control what anybody else is doing, but you can become the healthiest version of yourself. And ironically, that's what creates the environment where reconciliation is even possible. You have put down the fear, gained trust in yourself, and made that area fertile for healing. Until that happens, that ground is hard. It's very difficult to go ahead and plant the flowers of forgiveness. You've got to heal a little bit first. Take responsibility for your part and what you can do to heal. And then that makes the space for the healing of the relationship. Hope that makes sense. I hope you feel me on this tonight because this is important stuff. All right. This is the basics. This is where I came from. How this dreams formula came into being and what it did for me and what I've seen it do for other women and what I want it to do for you. So put path in the comments if you would like a copy of the dreams formula. And if you are just feeling bold and you feel like you want to talk to me and you need this conversation to get some clarity, put call in the comments or DM me, call, and I will send you the link to get on a call with me. Okay? All right. That's the end of the lesson for today. I've got one more thing to talk to you about. Remember at the beginning, I was telling you about the practice that you can do that will start to help mitigate the effects of the trauma on your body and on your brain? Well, there's one more. One more. When you are feeling traumatized, your body says that you're part of the problem. Your brain will start to say that you caused this. You could have been better. You could have been more pretty. You could have been happier, healthier, more wonderful woman. And then he wouldn't have cheated on you. Okay. And that starts you feeling like you are the problem. It starts you feeling like there's something wrong with you. And there isn't. Okay. You are just a lovely, compassionate woman who something bad happened to. We've got to counteract that, though. The idea that it's all your fault. And so what we need to do is make sure we are saying good things about ourselves instead of just always saying bad things the way our brains want to. So, tell yourself an affirmation, all right? I want you to every day look yourself in the eye, in the camera, and say an affirmation like you mean it. Say it like it is the most true thing you have ever said in your entire life, and feel it. Try and feel what it feels like to believe it, okay? Consistency in doing this is going to help a ton. So every morning when you get up and you look yourself in the mirror, say an affirmation. Periodically through the day, say it into your phone. Just make sure that you have a record of your face saying positive things about your face, okay? All right. So I have an affirmation deck. This one came from Five Below, but you can get affirmation cards from anywhere. And I have affirmation cards. If you want affirmation cards from me, affirmation in the comments. I'll send you a link for that too. But this affirmation for today says, today I will not be critical. Today I will not be critical of my appearance or actions. I am perfect the way I am. Woo! Can I say it again for the people in the back? Let's run it back. Today, I will not be critical. Today, I will not be critical of my appearance or actions. I am perfect the way I am. You are. There is nothing wrong with you. I know this was traumatic. I know that this broke you, but you don't have to stay broken. You have every ability to be able to heal, to stand on your own 2 feet again, to open yourself up to love. You can do it. The fact that you are even here with me, the fact that you are saying, yes, I do want to reconcile. I love this person. I do want this relationship to work out. Even the fact that you are saying that is brave. You are perfect just the way you are, loving and open and honest about the way that you feel. Okay? So, all that being said, I love you and I'm so, so proud of you. You are a brave, brave woman. You are filled with love and compassion, and you deserve to have the relationship that you want. I am here to help you get it every day. All right. Just message me if you are interested in talking. If you need some help, I will help you figure out how to heal and actually stay in your relationship after this infidelity. Okay. All right, y'all. I think that's about it. So I will be back again next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, do your deep breathing, do your journaling, practice gratitude, stop asking him all those questions, do your affirmations, and more than anything, do not do what the fear and the pain tell you to do. You want to heal. If you do what the fear and the pain tell you to do, that is hurting. But if you do what the love and the compassion and the fearlessness tell you to do, that will be the path of healing. I want you to get on the healing path. So, path, if you want a copy of the Dreams Formula, and don't do what the fear and the pain tell you to do this week. Okay? All right, y'all. That's about it. Thanks so much for joining me for the Healing Hour Live. Mwah. I will see you again next week. Bye.